So sometimes you have to remind yourself of your own dream, of the things that you love, the things that you want to do, the things that you want to become. And as I always say, it's important to surround yourself by around people that remind you of that too. Welcome to the Heart Helper podcast, a spiritual space where we share extraordinary stories from everyday, ordinary people because we truly believe that inspiration is far greater than influence. Hi, guys. We are back. Welcome to episode 20 of the Heart Helper podcast. And as you guys can see, I am here by myself today because I want to not only recap my trip to Italy, but also reflect on the last 19 episodes. I can't believe we've come this far. So I think this is just like a beautiful moment for me to kind of talk about how the podcast started, how it's going, and where we plan to go. So if you guys follow me on social media, you guys will see I recently went to Italy, and I've always wanted to visit Italy. It's been on my list of places to visit since I was a kid. Most of you, if you know me, my parents are from Jamaica, so I always go to Jamaica. So I'm like, no, I just got to start experiencing different cultures in Italy. Next to Jamaican food, Italian food is right there. I remember when I was pregnant, I ate Italian food at least 4 days a week and also Crackle Barrel. But Italy was everything that I thought it was going to be. Not only was the food amazing, but the views in Italy, you could just tell that God was there. You could tell that God constructed that landscape. Beautiful place. So we flew into Rome, stayed in Rome for about 2 days. And I feel like 2 days in Rome was literally all I needed. Like once I did that all day tour of Rome, we went to a bunch of different historic sites. 2 days in Rome was all I needed. From Rome, we got on the train and we went to the coast of Italy. And y'all, the coast of Italy is literally where it's at. Rome is cool, but the coast of Italy, I know a lot of people on TikTok talk about Amalfi Coast, which I had a great time there as well. But there is a part of Italy called Maiori before you get to Amalfi, which is such a gem. Not a lot of tourists, great food, great people. It's not as busy, it's not as crowded. But I mean, once you're on the coast, you could kind of hop on a ferry and visit all of those different places. Also visited Capri. And Capri, if you ever get the opportunity to go there, it lets you know like God is real. The water is aqua blue, the food is good. I had so much gelato, so much pasta, and it was just a great experience. And I wanted to kind of recap my trip because I noticed when I was there was a lot of older people. And when I say older, I mean like seniors. And I was just kind of just pondering to myself, like, gosh, like maybe this is the only time that they've had an opportunity to really travel, really had the opportunity to visit different areas of the world. And I'm like, gosh, I don't want to wait until I'm 70 to explore. Like, I don't want to be a senior trying to see the world. And a lot of people were on wheelchairs. I mean, they could barely get on the boat to get on the ferry. And I'm like, gosh, it's like they waited this long to experience life. And a lot of our parents do, a lot of our loved ones do. It's like, oh, I'm finally retired. My kids are grown. I could finally see the world. But kind of just pondering on seeing those people, it's not fair to yourself. It's like at 70, could you really enjoy Italy? Could you go jet skiing? Could you walk? Could you, walk around the village? Could you go fish? Whatever you like to do. At that age, will you have the full amount of energy to really enjoy the experience? And in my opinion, no. So I'm just like, travel if you can. Every time it's like a new year, everyone's like, man, 2024 is going to be my year. And I say it too. I've been guilty of it, but I'm like, you know what? This year I was like, no, it's not going to be my year. It's going to be my life. I'm not going to wait to travel. I'm not going to wait to invest. I'm not going to wait to do the things that I want to do because time is of the essence. We might not have that time. Some people are not making it to 70. So don't wait until you're a senior to see the world. And I now, instead of trying to plan a trip, because I hate to say it, we all have those friends like, oh yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go. Just add me to the group chat. I'm definitely going to go. I'm going to put in my PTO. And come time for the trip, literally, you're the only one that still actually wants to go on the trip. So what I started doing was just buying my ticket with no one agreeing to go, no plans, no itinerary. I literally have just started buying my ticket. Last year I went to Paris. This year I went to Italy, and I just buy my ticket and then, just talking to people casually, like, yeah, I'm going to Italy, or yeah, I'm going to Paris. And like, oh man, well, what dates are you going? And the people that want to go, they're going to get their ticket and they're going to come too. So I have a friend, I consider her my travel partner. So her and I have been able to do this once a year. And we've just said, you know what, this is our thing, traveling and exploring the world. And one of the biggest things I noticed, there was not a lot of people of color. Like me and my friends stood out, of course, like a sore thumb everywhere. And I'm like, why are there not that many people of color? For one, like, I'm like, are we not traveling to these places? And I do know, I went in April. They say the summertime is significantly more busy, but I'm like, okay, there's not many of us here. And y'all, I'm not going to lie. Okay. A lot of people thought I looked like Beyonce. Okay. And I mean, I see the resemblance every day. I mean, we're pretty much twins. I feel like I look more like her than Solange. Truly, honestly. Just kidding. But a lot of people thought I looked like Beyonce. Shout out to Beyonce, because we love Beyonce, Giselle, Knowles Carter. But I just noticed there was not a lot of people of color, right? And we stood up like a sore thumb. So, I'm sightseeing. We're on our tour of Rome. And all of a sudden, a family from Germany comes up to me and they're like, oh, picture, picture. And I'm like, oh, okay. Took a picture with the son. I'm thinking, okay, I don't know if he thinks I'm Beyonce for real, or if he's never seen a Black woman, or maybe he thinks I'm just attractive. I have no clue. So I take a picture with the son. Then the dad comes. Pitch out a picture. Then the wife comes, pitch out a picture. And then the grandma gets out the wheelchair. And I'm like, okay, I'm just taking a picture. So somewhere in Germany, Jodie Smith is in an album of this family. And I hope they felt loved upon. I don't know where these pictures are going, but I'm like, well, maybe they've never seen a person of color. And not only do I think it is important for us to travel the world to see different cultures, but obviously we need to travel the world so people can experience our culture, experience our energy as well. So not only were people asking to take pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh, this must be what Beyonce feels like times infinity. But then I noticed when my friend and I were eating dinner, people were taking pictures like really closely. I'm like, okay. And then I kind of had to check myself, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be very annoying. And I could only imagine what celebrities go through, which I would never want to be a celebrity. But in Matthew's chapter 25, verse 21, it talks about a master giving his servant a little bit to see how he does with the little bit. So he had 3 different servants that he gave money to see what they would do with it. The first 2 servants invested the money and got double back. The last servant didn't invest the money and got nothing back. And what it says in Matthew 25:21 is like, if God gives you a little and you are a good steward of the a little bit that you do get, he will give you more. So it's like, you did great with the little bit. Let me see, how you steward it. Let me see how you take care of it. And let me see how you handle it to see if you're worthy of being blessed with more. And in those moments where I kind of was annoyed with, people just taking pictures randomly at dinner, I had to check myself, because a lot of us are praying for things that is going to come with influence naturally. And whether you are, praying for a promotion at work, whether you are praying to be a news anchor, an artist, a lawyer, a teacher, whatever realm that you want to be in, there's going to be some form of influence that comes with that. Some influence is greater than others, but um, I think it was important for me in that moment. What I wrote down was, can God trust that you will not get inflated by the influence once he gives you the gift? Will your surface become more important than your spirit? And I'll say that again. Can God trust that you will not get inflated by the influence once he gives you the gift? And will your surface become more important than your spirit? So, in that moment where I was like, oh my gosh, like this is overwhelming, it's like, you know what? I've been praying for certain things, and certain things that we are praying for is automatically going to come with influence. Like, how are you going to treat people in those moments? If you're a boss, for example, if someone continuously is coming to you for advice, are you going to get aggravated with them? Are you going to brush them off? Or are you going to be the leader that you've been praying to be, and be gentle and be patient and be gracious? So as now that I'm trying to live more in spirit and less in self, I'm noticing God kind of just like tapping my hand when certain things come to my thoughts. Cause I'm like, oh my God, this is so annoying. Why are they taking pictures while we're at dinner? But I'm like, like I said, maybe they've just never seen a person of color. Maybe they are just so intrigued. So it's not on me to judge, but it's always on me to be gracious, because I don't know where God's taking me. I don't know what my story is going to look like, but I always pray that I don't mismanage what God plans to bless me with. And like it says in Matthew 25, I want to be a good steward over the little bit that I do have, so God could bless me with more. So it was very interesting just having people take pictures of you. And I'm just like, gosh, I hope they find me and at least send me the pictures. But that was kind of like an aha moment. I'm always trying to take the lesson out of everything. So also, we walked a lot. A I like y'all, you guys know I'm a gym head. So I try to go to the gym at least 4 days a week. When I got back, I took the entire time off of the gym. When I tell you I walked up some hills, and for those of you that don't know, there are certain areas in the world that are considered blue zones. And to make a long story short, a blue zone is considered to be a place in which people live for a significant amount of time. Sardinia, Italy is one of those places. There is a significant amount of people in this particular area of Italy that are living to be 100 years old. And as we know, the average life expectancy in the United States is about 82 years old. But these blue zones, people are living a significant amount of time. One reason is because they have a great diet. A lot of them are following the Mediterranean diet. A lot of them don't eat a lot of meat. There's not a lot of fast food in those areas. A lot of them don't live separately from their family, and they're very much so well connected to the community that they live in. Everyone knows everyone, everyone loves up on everyone. So it is really tight knit, connected communities. But also, they walk. They're so active. In Italy, they're like, I saw 70-year-olds, and not American 70-year-olds that are like, you know, kind of teeter-tottering, looks like they're struggling to just walk or cough or talk. I mean, active people above 70, climbing hills with baskets, carrying kids. Like, these people are very, very active, especially in Capri, Italy. Those hills, I mean, my legs still hurt. Like, it took me a while to get back in the gym, but I noticed they're very, very active, and they're very much so present. I know, comparing it to America, a lot of times we're always in our phones, which I'm trying to be more mindful of, but we're always in our phones. We're always on social media. We're always texting. We're always talking to someone. But I noticed there, a lot of them are more so present. I mean, looking each other in the eye when they're at dinner. Their phones are down. They meet up for espresso. They're talking with one another. They're communicating. They're connecting. And I could see why Sardinia, Italy, those people are living for a longer amount of time. Because, for one, Italy is on a mountain, like scary like looking down, all you see is ocean, and the roads are this big, and you're just going up a winding mountain, and you're having to climb these mountains to work, to home, doctor, wherever you're going, but they are very, very active. And I didn't notice a lot of fast food. So it kind of put things into perspective too. Like maybe that's why our life expectancy in America is much lower than some of these blue zone areas because we have a fast food restaurant on every corner. We have a liquor store on every corner. We got a check cash in place on every corner. And we just promote this unhealthy lifestyle down to what we eat, the music we listen to, what we watch on TV. And noticing these particular in Italy, they don't have a fast food place on every area, especially on the coast of Italy. I mean, they're taking boats to get groceries and then taking a boat back to get their groceries, to drop off their groceries. So it's just different. And I think traveling is important just to see not only the privileges that you have wherever you live, but also to see where we could do better where we are living. Like it was beautiful to see. Um, the sightseeing, I do suggest it's called the tour guide. So if you guys are going to Italy, contact the tour guide. It's an all-day tour. I will say it is a bit long. It's like I'd want to say 8 hours, but you get to see all of Rome in one day. And the Vatican. I have never seen something so beautiful. Being able to see the artwork of Michelangelo in person, like it will make you literally want to cry. And when you walk into this room and see all of his artwork, which is all on a ceiling. So like they said that he would be painting for like 18 hours a day on the ceiling. I'm like, his back, I could only imagine. His neck, I could only imagine. But to see how detailed the artwork is on the ceiling, for one, it showed me that he had such a high respect and reverence for God. Like, it literally looked like God himself came down and was moving Michelangelo's hands to look at his paintings, his sculptures. It's like you could tell that God was there and it will make you emotional. And when you walk into this certain room in the Vatican, they make you be silent. They don't want you talking. You can't have your phone because, for one, you don't need your phone. This is not an Instagram moment for this particular room because it is so sacred. There's no talking. There's no pictures. You just need to be silent and you need to be present. And there was some foolish people that were in there, of course, taking pictures because you know how some of us don't listen. And they would get them out of there. But when you're in that moment and you're just silent, and you're present with Michelangelo's paintings that is referencing different things that were in the Bible, it is just like, oh my goodness, like the level of artistry that he had, like he was a master at his artistry. And it was just a beautiful sight to see the sculptures. And you could just tell that they really take their religious beliefs seriously and they honor it. So the Vatican, if you get a chance, definitely go there. Add that to the top of your list. I also was able to see where Julius Caesar was cremated. And it's so fun kind of doing these tours because a lot of things that we've learned in history throughout the years about Italy or certain things that are in the Bible, you could physically go to these places. And it's like, oh my God, so that's where Julius Caesar was, or this is where Michelangelo was. And just to be able to experience those things in person was amazing. And there is a place, it's called Mamertine Prison. So in the Bible, where Peter and Paul were in jail, according to early church tradition, both Peter and Paul were held prior to their execution in this small building consisting of only two cells, one above the other. And this was actually in Rome. And I was able to see where Peter and Paul were in the Bible. I was like, oh my gosh. It was that Rome to me, that's what Rome is good for. I know some people go to Rome, they hang out there, they stay there the whole time. But once you do the tour, to me, I feel like that 8-hour tour is all I needed from Rome. Take me to the coast, take me to Capri, and I'm good to go. So that part was just really sensational. I'm just like, I got to start traveling more. So Italy was amazing. If it's on your list of things to do, be sure that you check it off your list. And my ticket was only maybe $672. It wasn't an expensive ticket. Of course, plan ahead, plan accordingly. Don't wait last minute to get your ticket, but don't wait on other people to come before you go. I am an advocate for just buying the ticket. Don't try to plan a trip because everyone's going to say they're going. Just buy the ticket, and you're going to have at least one person once you start telling people where you're going that will come with you. And if no one goes, are you going to wait to live your life for other people to come? Absolutely not. My aunt told me that. I was like, gosh, when I first moved to Georgia, I was like, I really want to go to Stone Mountain, but I don't have anyone to go with. She was like, what do you mean you don't have anyone to go with? I was like, well, I don't want to go by myself. And she was like, go alone. Why do you need someone to go? And I was like, you're right. Why do I need someone to go? Am I going to wait on other people to live my life? So I'm not going to go see these beautiful parts of the world because no one else, you know, plans accordingly? No, I'm going to buy the ticket. If someone comes, great. If someone doesn't, that's fine too, because you got to be so comfortable in your skin. You got to be comfortable with yourself to where you enjoy your own company. And I always joke and say that I kind of do enjoy my company a little bit too much and I enjoy being alone, but don't wait to live because other people are not coming along with you. You're going to have to be comfortable walking alone because your journey isn't for everyone. And that could be applied to many, many, many areas of our lives. So don't wait to live. There's plenty of TikToks, YouTube channels on solo traveling. I suggest looking at one of those before you go to a certain country so you know what areas to go to, you know how to be safe and all that good stuff. But don't wait for other people to live. It's not fair to yourself. And literally, when you go, you're going to go by yourself. You can't take Mary Sue. You can't take John. You can't take your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. Honestly, they're not coming with you. And I hate to burst your bubble. Don't wait to live. Don't wait to live. Don't wait till you're 70. Don't wait for someone else to confirm that they're going to come along and they're going to go. Just go. And watch Eat, Pray, Love too. She went all around the world when she wrote that book. She went to India by herself. Don't wait for other people to live. So that's my Italy recap. It was amazing. And Doja is going to add some pictures and videos and all that good stuff in the visuals. So that was my recap of Italy. And now just reflecting on the last 19 episodes. I can't believe we're 19 episodes in. And the Heart Helper just kind of like, y'all, when I have an idea, I'm one of those people that I will not rest until I see that idea manifested. Down to writing a book, down to the podcast, down to starting those my self-care subscription boxes. So initially, the Heart Helper started as a self-care subscription box, which I talk about a lot. So every month, my subscribers get about 5 to 6 full-size items from minority-owned businesses: lotions, soaps, candles, self-help books, prayer books, all of that good stuff. So literally, I do believe that God puts things in our heart. I can't say that I was sitting pondering about the Heart Helper and starting this self-care subscription box. I literally was on my friend's couch and it was just like oh my God, I'm gonna start a self-care subscription box. I didn't write it down. It wasn't like something like, oh my God, I dream of doing this. Literally, I do believe God could drop an idea in your heart and you will not rest until you do what God has called you to do. God will make sure that it keeps knocking at you, knocking at you, knocking at you, knocking at you until you answer the door. And literally the Heart Helper was that. I wasn't literally it was supernatural how the idea came. And it started from the self-care subscription boxes. And then I was like, something in me again. I'm going to start a podcast. It's going to be called The Heart Helper too. And we're going to share inspiring stories from everyday, ordinary people. Because, of course, in life, there's so many influencers. And I don't think a lot of them are managing their influence well, like I talked about earlier. So I just wanted to have people share inspiring stories. And it came about. I hit the ground running. 19 episodes in. And honestly, I just had the idea. I had no clue the amount of work that was going to go into it. I had no clue what platforms to use or how to upload it or hashtags or micro. I literally had no clue. And I'm always one of those people always wanting to start some shit and don't know how to do it. I just know God's going to work it out. I'm going to research it. I'm going to go on YouTube. Let me Google. Let me just like do my due diligence and figure out how I do it. And then I'm going to do it. Even down to writing my first book. I'm like, okay, how do you publish a book? I went on Amazon. Amazon will help you publish a book. They guided me through the steps and I published 2 books. So it literally was an idea that God put in my heart. And I was just so adamant about being obedient. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know how I was going to do it. And the last 19 episodes, it has been a journey. It has been a beautiful experience. Midpoint, I was working with someone else in production, and we had to part ways. I do feel like he was more so religious and I was more so spiritual. Not that there's anything wrong with either, but um God put it in my heart to really allow people to have a safe space on the Heart Helper podcast where they could tell their stories without judgment. They could tell their stories, in full truth and not feel like they're being judged or not feel like they're, you know, doing the right thing. Because this, people being vulnerable, I don't take that lightly. I don't, I make sure that I respect everyone's views, everyone's truth. So I did part ways with the other production company that I was working with. And I honestly, I didn't even know who I was going to be working with next. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just knew that we had to part ways for me to take the Heart Helper podcast to the next level that we were going. And as I exited that situation, literally, Doja texted me maybe 2 minutes later and was like, hey, want to work with the Heart Helper podcast. What can we do? And I know that he's already been doing podcasts for a significant amount of time as well, but literally text me right after that situation ended, maybe 2 minutes. Like, this is how fast I think God works. Like, not even 2 minutes. Like, hey, let me figure out how, you could record here, whatever you got to do. And we made it happen. And it's been a great experience. It's been great energy. And though I knew that situation had to come to an end, I didn't know if the Heart Helper podcast was even going to continue. I didn't know who I was going to work with, what I was going to do. But I say that to say, just trust God's timing, trust God's alignment, and everything will work out exactly how it is supposed to. And if you are questioning if you're on the right path, on the right journey, even if a door closes, God's going to open another one because you have work to do. I feel like this is a part of my mission. This is a part of my journey, and just giving God the glory and just doing my best to be a being of light. And one thing I wrote down as I was prepping for this was, don't cancel the plans just because you have to change the play. And I'll say that again. Don't cancel the plans just because you have to change the play. I really feel like I'll be given some mic drop moments, okay? And that was one of them because when I parted ways with the other production company, I didn't know what I was going to do. And it was easy for my first thought to be like, well, dang, I'm just not going to do the podcast anymore. Like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? And if Doja wouldn't have texted me or even just sending encouraging words like, hey, I haven't seen you post a podcast episode. It's little things like that I was like, okay, I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So don't change the plans just because you got to change the play. It's life. And also, don't walk away from God because people are human. And I want to say, because I know a lot of people give up on their plans, they give up on their purpose, they give up on their dreams, they give up on going to church because they met one person that caused them to be discouraged. They had one no that caused them to think like, okay, maybe this is not it. They had one experience with someone or one bad relationship. Oh no, I'm never going to love again. Don't leave God just because of that situation. Don't lose hope in God because of humans. Like, humans are going to be humans. They are going to disappoint you. Things are not going to work out. And they're not supposed to, honestly. If anything in your life didn't work out thus far, it wasn't supposed to. You're going to have to learn how to pivot. You're going to have to learn how to change things, and you're going to have to learn to continue to trust God. People are going to disappoint you every time. If you are putting your hope in a human, I'm scared for you. Please email me at info@thehearthelper.com. I'm nervous for you. I'm terrified for you. If you are putting your hope in a human, back up right now. Honestly, let's have a truthful moment. You are going to you're going to self-destruct. You are going to be so disappointed. You are literally giving people access and permission to disrupt your peace if you're depending on humans. Don't even depend on your parents. That's when you get real hurt. When you depend on your parents and your family and they fall through. Talk about hurt. Don't do it to yourself. The only person, I don't think God's just an infinite everything, but God is the only person that you should be putting your hope into, your faith into, your trust into. Honestly, don't even trust yourself sometimes, because sometimes your judgment is off. And let me read this Bible verse. I'm in this women's study group, and there was a verse that we read this week in Corinthians, and I was like, oh my goodness. Let me see if I could find it here. So in First Corinthians chapter 4, verses 3 through 4, in the New Living Translation, it says, "As for me, it matters very little how I might be evaluated by you or by any human authority. I do not even trust my own judgment at this point. My conscience is clear, but that doesn't prove that I am right. It is the Lord himself who will examine me and decide." Don't, pretty much what it's saying, don't live your life depending on humans, taking to heart the judgment from humans. Don't even trust your own judgment, because a lot of times our judgment is impaired. Just depend on God and God alone. Like Tupac says, only God could judge me. And it's true. No one else's opinion of you matters. And sometimes your own opinion of yourself doesn't matter, because a lot of us don't have good self-talk. We don't have good self-talk. There's so many people that talk down on themselves. There's so many people that don't speak life into themselves. And to those people that are listening, please don't even take your own judgment to heart. Don't take judgment from yourself or from anyone else to heart. And don't take a compliment that people give you to your head. Like, only put your faith in God. That's the only way to live. Only way to live. So, y'all, it's been a journey, but I'm very excited. Like, as I grow more in spirit, as I'm on this sober living, I'm noticing more that God's able to speak to me. I've noticed that I'm able to hear God more. Like, even when I have certain thoughts and like God kind of like taps me on my head, I'm like, okay, all right, that thought was wrong. I shouldn't have thought that. And the good thing is, we sin knowingly and unknowingly every day. But when you wake up in the morning, God has renewed our mercy. God has renewed the grace, and we have another opportunity to give God the glory. So I'm excited to see where we are now. Joe's just been helping me. I probably get on his nerves sometimes, but I am here and I'm here to stay. And we are going to take this podcast to the next level. I'm very excited. We have a lot of great guests coming up, and I just want to be a light. I want to spread a light, and I want to be vulnerable. If you guys have not listened to episode 19, that was a very vulnerable moment for me. Okay. I did not want to talk about getting arrested for no DUI. Not, I went to jail, y'all, for 12 hours. Are you kidding me? I was trying to look for my mugshot the other day. I couldn't find it, but I did. She did have on a red lip. Okay. She was cute. And I just think, out of all the episodes, I do feel like that was like the most impactful. After that episode aired, I got a lot of messages on social media. I got a lot of texts like, hey, my sister got a DUI. She's not taking it seriously, or she, is still drinking, or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, well, have her reach out to me, and just giving them encouraging words. And then now I'm just seeing every week, it seems like there's a celebrity that's getting a DUI. Last week was Don Tolliver. Yesterday was Glorilla. in the same county that I got arrested in. Gwinnett County don't play, y'all. Okay, if Glorilla can get a DUI, you could get one too. And everyone's like, well, how did she fail her field sobriety test? She walked so good. I passed my field sobriety test as well. Be clear. Let's be very clear. It's your word against theirs, and your word don't mean nothing. You could do backflips and cartwheels on that field sobriety test, and you're still going to jail. You're going to jail. And they're all going to say the same thing. Have you been drinking? Because I could smell it. I'm sure there's some people that have gotten pulled over for suspicion of a DUI that probably haven't even never drank in their life, but I could smell alcohol. And it's not a joke. It's definitely not a joke. And now we're seeing more celebrities getting DUIs. Like, so not even celebrities are exempt. So just don't take the chance, don't take the risk. And that episode for Clark and I was very, 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 it was not easy being vulnerable. It was not easy sharing those clips, but I'm like, well, who am I not to share it? Who am I not to share it? What makes you so special that you don't want to share your story? You got all these people coming up on here telling you all their business. Okay. And we love the business, especially if it's inspiring. But who am I to not share my story? I'm not higher than nobody. I'm not lower than nobody. And I don't want anyone to think I am perfect. I don't think that's, it just doesn't make sense. No one's perfect. And even for Clark, I know that was difficult for him. Just seeing some of the comments from people that know him, like, oh my God, thank you for sharing your stories. So to me, episode 19 was very, very impactful. And I think for me, that was the most vulnerable that I've been on this particular platform for mere strangers. So if you haven't listened to episode 19, be sure that you do. I think one of my favorite episodes, and actually the most listened to episode, was the first episode of the Heart Helper podcast, which was with my mom, June Robinson. And when I see my parents, I am so proud to be Jamaican, to see, my siblings, my family and I, like, we are the first generation to be living in Canada. We're the first generation to be living in America. And if it wasn't for my mom's courageous step to ask a mere stranger, hey, I'm trying to live with you. Like, excuse me? Yeah, ma'am, I'm trying to live with you. You live in Canada, I'm trying to go there too. For her to have the courage and the gall to do that, we wouldn't be here if she didn't do that. And because she did do that, were fortunate enough to be raised here in America and not go through a lot of the same things that she might have went to. We were, born in Canada, but just seeing her, I'm always in such awe of her. And y'all really liked that episode. So we're going to have June back on. But I know her episode to me was one of the most inspiring because a lot of times people don't think that they could do something until you hear that someone else did it. Then it's like, oh, okay, I can do it. Rockefeller, Carnegie, they all heard what each other was doing. Then it's like, okay, bet. I could be a billionaire too. They didn't know that it was possible. And I forget the documentary, but it's on Prime. And I want to say it's called The Men That Built America. But take the time to watch that. It was so inspiring because it kind of was like a chain reaction. Rockefeller heard what such and such was doing. Carnegie heard what such and such was doing. Then it was like, okay, let me take that inspiration and run with it. And that's why I always say inspiration is greater than influence. Influence, yeah, you're going to get people to be drawn to you. You're going to be able to speak and have people really listen. But inspiration, to be able to ignite something in someone where they could take that light and run with it and light more people up, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. And I think to me, that's what my mom did in that episode. And full circle, she always used to say she wanted to travel the world. And she was like, I'd, be in Jamaica, I'd be looking at postcards, magazines, and I would just see so many different places in the world. And she said Paris was one of those places for her as a child. She's like, you know what? One day I am going to go there. And y'all, my mom is somewhere every other month. If she's not in Dubai, if she's not in Egypt, if she's not in Italy. Like when I went to Italy, she was telling me the places to go. She's like, okay, when you come out of that restaurant, make a left. There's a purse shop on the left. Tell him June sent you. And I'm like, you know what? Good for her. She's not waiting till she can't, take care of herself to try to travel and see the world. And I'm just so proud to see where she is, where she's come from, even going back to Jamaica, seeing where she grew up. I'm like, it takes courage to be great. It takes courage to be great. And not everyone has that courage. Not everyone has that heart. But you got to have heart. You got to have a little dog in you, like they say, to make your dreams come true and to put out what God has put in. You're going to have to be fearless and you're going to have to be faithful. And that episode was one of my favorites. That was the most listened to episode. And the most watched episode was actually with Asaya Dio. So you guys really enjoyed that episode as well, about his music, about him being Muslim, and just where he's going. He actually just dropped a new song today called Something About Mary Jane. So definitely be sure to check that out. But this has been a journey. It has been an experience. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Heart Helper grows, where we go, the next guest that we have on. And I really hope that you guys have been enjoying it. I try to incorporate as much love, as much light, as much God into it as possible, just because more than ever, I do think that is what we need right now. But y'all, it has been a journey, and sometimes I forget my own dreams. And like I said earlier, like you will continue to be reminded of your dreams, of, what God has put in your heart, because it'll keep knocking at you. It'll pop up randomly. It'll keep you up at night. And I came across a video of me maybe about 12 years ago. I used to be the journalist for J Global Entertainment when I was living in Tallahassee. Shout out to Jamal Ingram. We connected when I was going to FAMU, and he was like, hey, I need a host to come with me to Jazz in the Gardens and interview artists. And of course, I'm like, okay, bet. That's my thing. At that time, I was in school for journalism because I wanted to be a news anchor. So I came across a video of me. I got the opportunity to interview Melanie Fiona. And when I saw that video, I was like, oh my God, like that has always been my thing. That has always been my passion. That has always been something that I was naturally good at. And it's always been something that I've always enjoyed. So sometimes you have to remind yourself of your own dream, of the things that you love, the things that you want to do, the things that you want to become. And as I always say, it's important to surround yourself around people that remind you of that too. Surround yourself with people that want to keep that flame lit in you. Because I'm telling you, life is life, okay? Between work and parenting and whatever else that you do, it's easy to forget that dream. It's easy to have that flame go out, but never stop igniting that flame. Just keep lighting it, keep lighting it. And sometimes you might have to travel to do that. You might have to travel to be inspired. It doesn't have to be Italy. Maybe you need to go to New Orleans. Maybe you need to, meet some different people and just be inspired again. I hope, if anything, as you guys listen to these episodes, I hope that you are inspired again. I hope you're inspired to love. I hope you're inspired to change. I hope you're inspired to deepen your relationship with God. I hope you're inspired to pursue your dreams. I hope you're inspired to really have a relationship with your purpose, because relationships, of course, have their ups and downs, and, achieving or striving towards your purpose will as well. But I hope that you guys are inspired. So this was episode 20, y'all. And I kind of like just being here by myself, but there will be many, many more guests, many great guests, and we are going to continue on this journey. Episode 20, I can't believe it. This is the Heart Helper Podcast. I am your host, Jodie Smith. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Listen, like, share, and subscribe, and don't lose sight of your dreams, y'all. Till next time.